Questions for oral answer. Would some honourable member care to move that the House take note of miscellaneous business? The Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, I think it's a long time since there's been such a level of public interest in economic issues in this country. It's been a long time since so many New Zealanders were so interested in international events, particularly those of the last couple of months, and so interested in the connection between those international events and their own prospects for jobs and incomes. And you would think with such a high level of public interest, which is justified because of the scale of concern about international events, you'd think there'd be some kind of robust debate about that in New Zealand. But the reason is, one of the reasons there isn't so much robust debate is because the opposition can't even organise a member's question to their own select committee chairman. They can't even organise a member's question to their own select committee chairman, let alone organise a reasonably testing economic debate. And we know why, Mr Speaker, because we've looked at the Labor Party billboards. You may recall over recent years that there was no way anyone could be on a Labor Party billboard except their leader. And now there is no way their leader can get on any Labor Party billboard. In fact, the Labor Party has got so disorganised that its posters, its billboards don't even ask voters to vote, to give their party vote to Labor. They don't. So there's no leader. It was always the leader, and now there's no leader. And it was always party vote Labor, and now it doesn't mention the party vote at all. So the Labor Party is now a collection of individuals campaigning to try and rescue their own seats. And that is why they do not have the focus or the capacity to mount an economic debate at a time when any government's policy on the economy should be tested hard, because the stakes are so high. And Mr Speaker, I just want to set out some of the progress that the government has made, which is helping to give the public a sense of confidence about the direction that New Zealand is going in through the increasingly rough seas of the global economy. One of the main measures that are used to measure New Zealand's vulnerability to these events is what's called its net international investment position, which is just the net of its debts and its assets held offshore. And on that particular measure, we have improved quite significantly in the last couple of years. So 2 years ago, we were looking at over 80% of GDP of effectively net debt, and forecasting that to get worse. And that put us up there with countries like Spain and Portugal, who are now in trouble. In the last couple of years, it has improved quite significantly to where it currently stands at about 70% of GDP. So the vulnerability has reduced by around 25%. Now, we still have a long way to go. It would be great if New Zealand's net international liabilities were under 50% of GDP. We're still at 70%. But it's improved for two reasons. One is that New Zealand households have understood what's required in these economic circumstances, and that is care with their spending and more saving. And they've changed their behaviour in quite significant ways to the benefit of the country as a whole, as well as their own circumstances. The other reason it's changed, frankly, is that the Stats Department has got better at counting the assets owned by New Zealand offshore, particularly assets owned in Australia. So we've made considerable progress on what has been one of our biggest vulnerabilities. I'd have to say, though, Mr Speaker, that in the discussions I've been able to have in the last couple of weeks, the world at large has become much more sensitive to levels of debt, whether it's private or sovereign. They just add it all together. And, Mr Speaker, even though we're doing better, we are under the microscope.
The Honourable David Cunliffe.
The Speaker, the Minister said he wants